Hey there, gorgeous, and a very happy drugstore December to you. I hope that you had a wonderful Christmas. It is such a joy to see you. In today's video, I have the top 10 palettes under $10 that I discovered in 2022. I'll be showing you up close looks with each of these as well as swatches so you can make an informed decision as to whether or not any of these may be right for you. First palette I have to share with you, well, the first three palettes I'll share with you in this video are neutral toned palettes. They're ones that I found myself picking up over and over and over again this past year, and I absolutely love them for everyday neutral looks. First one comes from Undone Beauty, and this is their Curator Eye Quad. The specific color I'm showing you is the one called Outfit Optional. Beautiful pigmentation with these shades, very easy to apply. They give a very rich consistency to the eyes, and it looks expensive without having to spend a lot of money. And even though there's only 4 shades in this palette, you can combine them up in a variety of different ways to get so many beautiful looks. And what I love about them is that there are 2 shades in this palette that you can apply all over the eye for a very simplistic, easy, everyday go-to look that makes getting out the door that much faster. And you don't have to struggle with blending or application with any of those eyeshadows. So I've been very impressed with this brand of eyeshadows this past year. The other one, or the other 2 I should say, came from e.l.f. and I'll mention them simultaneously because I have been using them simultaneously. First one being the e.l.f. Bite Size palette in the shade I Love You a Latte. This became my consistent go-to everyday eyeshadow palette for when I just wanted something very fast, simple, and easy. And it's not hard to tell why I love this palette so much. The pigmentation is superb. It's $3. I mean, do I need to say that again? It's $3 and it's amazing quality. And I would quite often pair it up with this other e.l.f. Bite Size eyeshadow palette in the shade Cream and Sugar because the two mesh together so well. Compared to the previous palette I showed you just now from e.l.f., the Cream and Sugar one has 2 shimmers in it, and that was why I liked to not only intermingle it with the I Love You a Latte palette, but also use it by itself, because on days when I wanted to add a little bit of a highlight, a little bit of shimmer to my eyes, this was the perfect way of doing it. And again, great quality pigmentation, excellent color payoff, and one that will stay on your eyes from beginning to end. Another discovery from this past year that turned out to be phenomenal that I really didn't think would be that good, I went into it with a lot of skepticism, was this palette from LA Colors. This is their Lemon Drop eyeshadow palette. Even the brightness of this palette really threw me off, but I said, let me try it. I have to try it. And I created the most beautiful look with this palette this past year that I didn't want to wash it off. It was so beautiful on the eyes, and it made my blue eyes look striking. It's been a while since I've seen an eyeshadow that really made my eyes stand out, and it's because of the orangey tones that are within this palette, and gold. Gold is especially beautiful on blue eyes, but wow, the quality with this one, and it was $1. When I found it in my local, I think it was Dollar General, it was $1. A lot of people have said they found them for $3, but amazing. If you can get a hold of this palette, I would absolutely recommend you try it, use it, because it's wonderful, wonderful. Another one that really impressed me this past year was this one from Lottie London. I've started to experience more of their makeup products this past year than any other year prior, and I've been really happy with a good majority of everything I have tried. So this is the eyeshadow palette in the shade Chocolate Box. There are 9 eyeshadows in this palette in a variety of shimmers and mattes. There are a mixture of warm tones and cool toned neutrals in this palette, so you get the best of both worlds in here, and the color payoff with this one is extraordinarily good. You don't have to do any layering. One swipe of the brush and you have instant pigment on your eyes, and the color lasts all day. It will not muddy, it won't run together. Simply beautiful. I was very, very, very happy with this one. They do have other colors available other than just that one. I forget what other ones they had, but if you're like not really into the whole neutral thing and you want something a little different, more colorful, they do have those options available too, but would recommend those 100%. Another one that I want to talk about that I have been wearing in my videos most recently, and I've had a lot of you asking, what's on your eyes? And I'm wearing it again today because it's amazing, is this one from Profusion. This is the Peppermint Bark 9 eyeshadow pan palette. I believe this is limited edition for the holidays, so I'm not even sure if you're going to be able to get it as I'm talking about it. Hopefully you will. I'm going to try to have it linked for you below. But While the pigment was not as good as some other profusion palettes I've used in the past, sadly, you do have to layer this one a couple times to get the pigments to show up on your eyes. But if you don't mind working with the eyeshadows, you do get intense color payoff with this one. And when you take the time to apply the more shimmery metallic finishes wet, it does help to intensify the look. And even though it takes a little bit more work to get the eyeshadows onto the eyes with this palette, the colors will not fade and they will not muddy all day long. And the color, it looks beautiful on the eyes once you do get it on. So it's worth a little bit extra time. It's worth it. It's worth it. And it's one that I have thoroughly been enjoying. Another eyeshadow palette that you have to try, especially if you love color and you're looking to incorporate more color into your looks, is this one from Essence. This is the Welcome to Miami eyeshadow palette. There's only about 3 neutrals in this palette, but I'm telling you what, if you combine this palette up with other eyeshadow palettes you already have, you can create some really amazing looks. And that's what I love about this palette, is the pops of color in here. The teals and the oranges are especially beautiful on the eyes. Not a lot of layering required with these eyeshadows either. They're pretty pigmented from pan to eye, and you don't have to do much work to get them to show up. And thankfully, the color payoff is everything that you would want it to be. And I was thoroughly impressed with this one. And like this one, there are others like this too in different color stories. So if this color story doesn't speak to you, I would highly recommend looking at the other palettes they have like this that are available. Another one that I want to recommend to you is from Morphe. This is their Ready in 5 eyeshadow palette in the shade From Hawaii with Love. So you get 5 eyeshadows in this little mini palette, 3 mattes, 2 shimmers, and again, great color payoff with these. A lot of beautiful looks can be created with the eyeshadows in this palette, and a little bit of the eyeshadows goes a long way to create some really beautiful looks. Another palette that I ended up really loving this past year was one that Milani had released earlier. I want to say around the time of either August or September, maybe before that. They had these Most Wanted palettes that had come out, and they were really hard for me to find in my area. I had to go to several different Targets to locate the one that I did finally find, because the online system did not match the store system. So unfortunately, if you do try to find these in store, don't rely on the apps or anything else like that. I would recommend buying it online and having it shipped to your door. Unfortunately, these were just very difficult to find, but well worth it. And I was very impressed with the quality, the color payoff, and they looked beautiful on the eyes. The final eyeshadow palette I had to share with you is one that comes from Catrice Cosmetics. This is the 5 in a box mini eyeshadow palette. This is in the shade Soft Rose Look. Now, these eyeshadows are very soft and lighter in pigment than what you would expect to get from, say, a company like Wet n Wild or e.l.f. The pigment is not as strong, so it's one of those that needs a little bit more layering when you are applying them to the eyes. But what I liked about the shade range in here is that it is very light. It's great for beginners. It's great for someone who maybe doesn't want a lot of pigment when they are first working with eyeshadow, because it's easier to make a mistake when they're light like this. So just be aware of that. While the pigment is lighter, the quality is still good. You can tell that it's good, and it does last all day. It's not going to fade on you. And it's a very soft look on the eyes, which I think is rather beautiful. So let me know your most favorite eyeshadow palette find from 2022, even if it was not under $10, because it is hard to find eyeshadow palettes under $10, but when you do find them and they are of quality, it's like so exciting. It takes me back to that hunting instinct that we all have. You know, it's like, ah! Anyway, so I hope that you have a beautifully blessed rest of your day. I speak love, peace, and joy into you and into your home. Thank you for being here, for taking the time to watch, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.